Welcome to your Living Altar Masterclass. I'm your guide, Priestess Erica. In this masterclass, we're going to explore how your home shapes your inner world and how small, intentional shifts can bring more clarity, harmony, and presence into your life. I'll walk you through a 5-step process that you can begin using right away, and towards the end, I'll share a deeper path for those who feel called to go further. Let's begin. Your home is not neutral ground, and I want to start this masterclass somewhere a little different. Not with what you want to add to your home, but with what you're willing to clear from it. Because before your space can feel calm or grounded, there has to be room for it to breathe. And most homes are full, not just with things, but with layers, old decisions, unfinished energy, memories, things that don't really belong to who you are anymore. So you move through your home, but you don't always feel like yourself in it. And then there's moments like this, when you can pause, take a breath, create a little space. You begin noticing something. Your home is clearly reflecting who you are. Not who you're trying to be, but who you actually are. And that can make you go even deeper than you expect. Because my approach to intentional interior design isn't about decorating. It's about transformation and clearing enough space to really see yourself, to meet yourself inside your own home. And when that happens, your space doesn't just look different. It starts telling the truth of who you are. This work matters to me because it is something I've been entrusted to carry. Not just to understand, but to live, to tend, to protect, and to pass it forward. Because living light is not something we keep for ourselves. It's what we steward through the way we live, the way we care for our homes, the way we hold space for ourselves, our families, and others. My path has been shaped through devotion, through seasons of going inward, tending my own home as a place of restoration, and allowing these principles to become alive, not just learned. And over time, something has become clear to me. This work is not just about creating beautiful spaces. It's about remembering what is sacred within your home and within yourself. So when I guide others, I'm not just sharing tools or ideas. I'm passing something forward, a sacred seed. And I am deeply devoted to igniting that heart light within every woman who feels called to this path. Your space is speaking. The question is, are you listening? Not in words, but in what you feel when you move through your home. Where your body softens, where it tightens, where your energy moves, and where it gets stuck. Because your whole home is holding a story, not just of how you live, but of where you've been, what you've moved through, what you've outgrown, what you've been holding on to. Your nervous system recognizes it all, even when your mind has moved on. But most of us don't pause long enough to see it clearly until we slow down. And when we do that, the space begins to reveal what still speaks and what is ready to be witnessed and released. That is where everything begins to shift. This is what I call the hidden dilemma. Not that your home is chaotic, but it's misaligned. Because most spaces aren't created in intention. They're assembled over time through unfinished decisions, through versions of you that no longer exist, and through things that stayed long after the season ended, and through what has been passed down. hand-me-downs, inherited pieces, spaces shaped by other people's lives, needs, and patterns. And the space doesn't forget, it holds all of it. So even when your life begins to change, your environment, it often stays the same. And that's what creates friction. You feel it as tension, as distractions, as a quiet resistance that you can't quite name. So you try to move forward to feel clear, more grounded, more like yourself, but the space you're living inside, it's still organized around the past. And that's the dilemma. And this is where the shift begins, not by doing more, but being aware and bringing your environment into alignment with who you are now. Because when the space changes, you change with it. This is the core principle, the inner-outer bridge. Your inner world and your home are not separate. They are in constant conversation, and your space reflects what's happening within you. And what surrounds you is shaping you right back. So if you've ever tried to change, to feel clear, more grounded, and more like yourself, but something keeps pulling you back, this is why. Because your environment is still holding the old pattern. And no matter how much inner work you do, if your space is telling a different story, your nervous system will follow that space, not your intention. That's the bridge. Real change happens when both sides begin moving together. When your inner clarity and your outer environment start speaking the same language, that's when change becomes sustainable. This is the possibility. A home that holds you gently, not something you have to manage or keep up with, but a space that meets you, where your body softens, your mind settles, and you can feel yourself again. Instead of scattering your attention, it brings you back to the breath, to your center, to what matters. And when a home is shaped with intention, it begins to support you in a different way. Steady, reliable. Clarity becomes easier to access. Energy begins to return, and life feels more grounded daily. This is what it means to be held by your environment. Not perfect or finished, but aligned enough that your home is no longer working against you. It's working for you. Your home is training you. Whether you realize it or not, every space that you move through, every surface you see, and every corner you return to is conditioning your nervous system, teaching you what to expect, what to tolerate, and what's normal. Over time, that training compounds. You're either being guided towards restoration, or you're slowly being pulled into exhaustion, and not because of who you are, because of what you're living inside of. And once you really see that, you can't unsee it, because it means something powerful. It means you can change the way your life feels by changing the environment that's shaping you every day. This is why it hasn't lasted. You've tried to change your space. You cleaned, you organized, you moved things around. And for a moment, it felt better. But then slowly it faded. And that's not because you failed. It's because nothing deeper was guiding the change. The space shifted, but the relationship stayed the same. So it feels like you're starting over again and again. And maybe a thought has come in. Why can't I get this to stick? But here's the truth. There's nothing wrong with you or what you're doing. You were never meant to figure this out on your own. This work simply asks for a different approach, one that supports you and stays with you. That's where I come in. That's why I'm here to guide you. There's a myth most people carry when they begin this work, that sacred space has to look a certain way. Clean, quiet, perfect, put together before you're allowed to begin. But what I want to shift for you is that perspective, because sacredness has nothing to do with perfection. It begins the moment you bring your attention back to your space. The moment you choose intention. The moment you become present inside your own home. Not fixing it or perfecting it, just meeting it as it is. And when you do that, something begins to change. The space will respond to you. An order starts to form. Your body softens, and slowly your home begins reflecting your real life, not the ideal version you're trying to reach, the one you're actually living now. I hope what I've shared so far has shifted your perspective, even just a little, because this is where something new is opening for you. You don't have to overhaul everything, and you don't have to get it right. You just start. Begin by relating to your space in a different way, like it's a living, breathing being. Give it your awareness and care and intention. From there, things will start moving for you, easy. And this is the reorientation. It's all available to you now. Your home is here to support you, to hold you, to protect the life unfolding inside of it. And when you begin to see it in that way, the whole relationship changes. You're no longer trying to fix a space. You're building a relationship. You're tending something that is working with you, a place of care, of steadiness, and a place for your family to return to that's safe. This is the heart of altar work, not decoration, but connection, where you pause, where you remember what matters, and where you bring intention into the space around you. Over time, your home begins to reflect that intention, and you become more grounded. The house is more supportive, and you are aligned with the life you're living. Your environment isn't something you push against. It stands with you as an ally, a protector. Before anything can grow, the soil has to be prepared. You wouldn't plant a rose in a dry sandbox and expect it to bloom. Growth follows its conditions: soil, water, light. The same is true for your life. You respond to the environment that you're rooted in. Your home is the ground you live from, and the ways you move through it each day shape what grows within it. And when that ground is cared for, growth no longer feels forced. It becomes steady, supported, and able to unfold in its own time. So the question becomes, how do you actually begin? How do you take everything that we've just explored and bring it into everyday space? Through my own practice in guiding others, a clear pattern has emerged. Alignment is not random. It happens in steps. And this is what I call the Your Living Altar Framework. 5 steps to restore alignment between your inner world and the space you live in. We begin by clearing, not just to clean, but to make space for what's ready to enter. Then we define your inner altar, getting clear on what matters and what you want your life to reflect. From there, we shape your outer altar, so your environment mirrors that intention. Then we bring it into ritual, small, consistent practices that return you to presence. And finally, we stabilize that alignment, so your space begins supporting you without constant effort. And as this takes root, your home begins something more. It becomes a place of reflection, a place of devotion, a space that supports your evolution. And this is how the relationship shifts. Your home is no longer something you manage. It has become the temple from which you live within. Before we begin, I want to offer you something. This work is an invitation to come back into relationship with your space, with your life, and with yourself. There is nothing you need to fix first, nothing you need to become, only something to notice. Your home already holds your life, your history, and your energy. This work is simply an opening, a willingness to let go of what no longer belongs, so something more true can come forward, not through force, through awareness, through small, intentional moments of choosing differently. This is where the work begins, right here, exactly as you are. You just need to step into it. The first step is clearing, not because clutter is bad, but because space is necessary. Your home holds your energy, unfinished decisions, past seasons, things you never return to. And over time, it begins to weigh on the space and on you. Clearing isn't about perfection, it's about release. Intentionally making room for your attention, your energy, and what's ready to emerge. You don't start big. One drawer, one shelf, one corner, one mirror, one window, one doorway. And this is when you let something go. You're sending a message. I'm making space for what comes next. And that changes everything. After you clear the space, you define your inner altar. Because if you don't decide what matters to you, something else will. Your home will default to habits, to convenience, to whatever has left behind. This step is where you interpret that. You choose what your space is here to support. What do you actually need more of right now? Peace, clarity, energy, focus, momentum? And who are you becoming? Because your space should reflect that, not who you used to be or what you think you want, not what looks good, what's true. Once that's clear, the rest becomes simple. The outer space follows your lead. Once the inner altar is clear, it begins to take form. This is where your intention becomes visible in the physical realm. Your outer altar doesn't need to be elaborate. It just needs to be true to you. A place in your home that reflects what matters most. And it can be simple, a candle, a plant. It just needs to be meaningful. What matters is your attention to returning to it again and again. Because what you see every day, you begin to live every day. And when your space reflects what you value, those qualities begin to root deeper in your life. So keep it simple. This isn't about filling the space up. It's about creating a point of focus, a place where your intention can live in the physical world. Clarity fades if it isn't tended. And this is where ritual integration becomes connection. Not just to yourself, but to your guides, your ancestors, to your angels, to the unseen support always present around you. Ritual is a moment of return, a pause where you open that connection, a portal, again and again, and your altar becomes the place where it all happens. It can be simple, or it can be elaborate. What matters is that it's you, your life, your devotion, what you're choosing to hold close. These small moments begin to create a relationship, and that relationship with your altar becomes real. Your home begins to carry that presence, a space where you are not just moving through your day, but you are being guided within it. And what once felt distance has become something that you feel daily. The final step is stabilizing the alignment you've created, because real change isn't built in a single moment. It's built in what you return to every day. It's a practice. And when your home reflects your values, your intentions, and your rhythm, the space starts holding it for you. You don't have to keep reminding yourself what matters. You see it and you live inside of it. Over time, it becomes natural. Your altar becomes familiar and your rituals become a part of who you are. Your space begins carrying the order that you've created. And once that's felt, it becomes your baseline, a steady foundation for everything that continues to grow. So let me ask you, are you ready for the next level? Because even one small shift, one moment of peace in your home can begin changing the way your life feels. And you've already seen that. You've seen how your environment shapes your inner world and how simple, intentional actions begin shifting the rhythm of your space. You have the awareness and you have the tools, but there is a difference between understanding the path and being guided through it. Because the next level isn't more information, it's integration. It's support, structure, accountability, steady practice, where your home stops feeling like something you're managing and becomes something that supports who you're becoming. That is the next level. And that is where initiation begins. Transformation begins with commitment, not a dramatic one, a quiet one. The kind that begins with a simple decision to live differently inside your home. Sometimes that commitment sounds like this: I release what no longer belongs in my life or in my home. I consecrate a sacred space within my home. I return to that space with reverence and intention. These are not just words, they're acts of alignment. So pause for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath and place your hand on your heart and feel into this. What would it be like to be supported by the space you live in? Not managed by it, not overwhelmed by it, truly supported. Because the moment you claim your space, your home begins responding, and something within you begins to settle into the place. My work is shaped over time, through study, through practice, through living this inside of my own home. It's not a concept I teach. It is something I have returned to daily. And this is the way I live. Tested, refined, lived. When you invite me into your space, you receive discernment grounded in what actually creates change. Together, we restore clarity, rhythm, and sacred order. So your home begins supporting your life and your evolution. Walking the priestess path is not something I claim. It is the way that I live and my relationship with the divine, with the space, with my home, with the unseen, with what is asking to be brought back into harmony. My living altar is where I listen, where I return to, and where I remember. Through communion with the angelic realms, I attune to where light is ready to enter and where energy has gone quiet. I understand the shadow, and this is the deeper current beneath the work. Not just shaping a space, but restoring the conversation between your home, your body, and your spirit. The natural world moves through elemental forces: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. These forces don't just shape the land, they shape the body, and the atmosphere of the spaces we live within. When they fall out of balance, you can feel it. A room will become heavy, restless, and unsettled. But when the elements are brought back into harmony, something begins to return. Grounding, breath, warmth, and movement. The space softens. It begins to breathe. And through ritual, placement, and awareness of the elements, your home becomes something that you are in relationship with, not just living inside. The heart of a home is not something you find. It is something you set. The woman of the home is not responding to the space. She is shaping it. Her presence becomes the rhythm everything else organizes around. Not because she's trying harder, but because she is the anchor. Clear, connected, here. And from that place, the home begins to follow her. The atmosphere steadies, the energy organizes, and the space holds. This is not about fixing what feels off. It is about recognizing where the center is and returning to it. Because the moment the woman is rooted, the home no longer drifts. It begins to align. Stepping into this work is not about changing a space. It is about returning to your place within it. And this is the initiation. The moment you recognize yourself as a woman who sets the tone of her home, the throne of her temple, and the rhythm of her life. Not someday, now. This is where you begin to see clearly. What has been carried? What has been avoided? What is ready to be brought back into alignment? And then you go meet with it with presence, honesty, and devotion. And as you do, your home will shift and the space will respond. And slowly, your life will become steady. You'll be fully alive and in right relationship with the home and the woman who tends it. Before we go any further, let's anchor this all in. You've seen how sacred space shapes the atmosphere of a home. You've felt how small, intentional rituals begin shifting the rhythm of daily life. And you've witnessed how attention, placed with care, can restore clarity, creativity, and peace. So let me ask you, if all we did was help you make one change that brought more peace in your home, would that have been enough? Would this have been worth your time? Because even one shift begins a ripple. This is just the beginning. Now imagine your whole home is moving in that direction. Every space that you move in is supporting you, reflecting you, and holding the woman you are becoming. That is what we are anchoring into. And that is the journey that you are stepping into now. Sacred space and sacred self are not separate. The space you live within and the life you are becoming are always in relationship. And for the woman who feels that, this becomes more than something to understand. It becomes something to walk. This is the next step. A guided initiation into restoring sacred space so that your sacred self has somewhere to land. Because this work is not sustained by inspiration alone. It is sustained by devotion, by structured guidance, by being held as you move through it. And inside this journey, we bring the environment into alignment. We anchor living light through your rituals and into your daily life. And we shape a living altar that reflects who you truly are. This is not an idea. This is a lived reality. Because when your space begins to support your truth, your life follows. And sacred space, sacred self becomes back in harmony. And this is the path. This is the path that I guide women into. The deeper work I offer is called Anchoring Living Light at Your Living Altar, because this work is not only about creating sacred space, it is about learning how to hold light within it, within your home, within your body, and within the daily rhythm of your life. I am offering an 8-week in-home initiation designed to restore harmony between all three. We meet every other Sunday, allowing space in between for the work to settle, integrate, and take root. Nothing is rushed. The shifts are lived. Over time, your home begins to change, and so do you. During this initiation, you receive personalized guidance, spatial and energetic refinement, examination of your home, recorded teachings and practices that help anchor living light and open you up to this daily rhythm. Together, we move through a full arc of restoration, bringing clarity, sacred order, and living light back into the spaces you inhabit and into yourself. So if you feel called, the next step is very simple. We begin with a conversation, a 30-minute virtual alignment to explore your home, your intentions, and whether this path feels aligned for us both. Because this work is personal, and it begins with the moment you say yes. Thank you for sharing this space with me today. May your home continue becoming your living altar, a place of presence, divine devotion, and quiet restoration. And may the light you tend there continue to grow and guide you forward. Blessed be this day. We are blessed in every way.